Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to the SwingBadder weekly recap, and as always, I'm joined by Todd and Dad. We're going to get the Mets and Diamondback deep dive into the world landscape and how are they looking, how are they doing. But first and foremost, we got to get into the batter five for the week. And the batter five, I think, is pretty... I don't want to say consistent because it's not necessarily consistent other than first place. And I really have to apologize ever since I've been talking to my buddy Steve Kaiser about Cleveland. They are really, really doing it. This is the first time on the batter five we've had a repeat first place contender. Cleveland was in first place last week. They're in first place again this week. They were the only team to be perfect. They were 0-6 on the week. There's a couple things that really may strike you about this team. Todd, you talked about their offense in the month because we had a monthly batter five and Cleveland wasn't doing very good. We don't need to get into all that. But they only scored 9 total runs.
For the week?
For the week.
I wasn't paying as much attention to Cleveland because I was focused elsewhere, but it doesn't surprise me.
9 total runs. Their offense continues to struggle. They were a -12 on run differential. If you look at who they played Detroit. They also played, let me look at this real fast. Their losses are not, you're not writing home to mom and dad about, that's for sure. Who are they? Who did they start off with that swept them right off the bat? I like how I didn't write it down, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
Who their schedule was for the week?
Well, they lost to Detroit to cap it off, and what was funny about...
They lost to everybody.
Yeah, they lost... yeah, yes, they lost
That's
to
easy.
They lost to everyone. So they lost... Okay, so here's who they did. They did lose to the Cubs. Cubs are the first place team, had a great week as well. The Cubs ended up going 5-1 on the week, and they lost to Detroit, who went 4-2. So both of those teams are leading their leagues. Tough week for them. They lost a couple, 4-5, 1-0, 1-0 again to Detroit. Today they were ahead 1-0, 9th inning, wild pitch, tie game, go to the 10th. Detroit scores 6. It's 7-1. See you later. Lights out. Thanks for playing. This has just been bad offense, bad scoring runs. If you look at where they're at on their schedule and where they're at, payroll-wise, they're 40-49 right now, going 0-6. This is just bad news, getting worse. They're now solidly in 4th place in this division, which means they're in last because we don't count the White Sox. I'd like to see them pulling it out before the All-Star, but I'm not seeing it right now.
They can't win at night.
They have a 10.
The day games, they're 18-17. At night, they're 22-31.
They have a 10-game losing streak right now.
That is true.
That's really hard to come back from. I mean, that takes a while to make up, and they're not in good. The flowers are starting to bloom around the gravestone there. It's looking bad.
Yeah, I hear Celine Dion faintly in the background with this team now, and it's I see an iceberg. Leonardo DiCaprio's running to find the necklace. It's just not. They gotta sell. Find out what you can get for who you have on the team. The problem is I don't know who on the team is performing. I think the pitching, maybe. I don't know what's going on with this team. What are you seeing?
I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know. I mean, this has just been bad on top of bad. They're in a bad stretch, and it's just getting worse. I mean, I think the playoffs are distant now. They had some injuries. The offense is killing them. I mean, there's nothing for nothing.
Can you move Jose Ramirez?
No, that's a great contract. You're not moving Jose.
No, but should you consider moving Jose Ramirez?
No, I don't think so.
He's 32. What's the contract? What's he signed through?
It's a really, really, really good contract. I mean, they didn't give him a lot of money, and he
I know
signed,
it was cheap. I know it was cheap at the time when he signed it.
Yeah, Cleveland's not a big spender of a team. They're 25th overall in baseball. That's with Jose Ramirez.
Right.
He's getting $19 million. So, again, that's not
Not for that production. That'd be. I mean, like his production's been great, but he's got no protection in that lineup.
How many years left on that?
He gets paid this year 26, 27, and 28. So it's a really good contract. $19 million this year, $20 million, $21 million, then 23, then 25. So it's
29. Yeah, it's through 29. This is his last contract. This is it.
Yes, and then 29 is an unrestricted free agent. I mean, he signed with Cleveland. He hasn't requested a trade. The thing that's tough about this is obviously they're not going to be buyers, but when you're in the batter 5 right before all the trade rumors and things of that are happening, you got to look at they're 40 and 39 before this stretch. Now they're 40 and 49, 2 first-place finishes on the batter 5, and they are really cemented themselves. And to your point, Dad, about coming back, we talked about the Braves and a month-to-month idea. When you start stacking up bad weeks, I mean, the Mets had 1 in 5 weeks, but they had stacked so many good weeks they could handle that. It wasn't like, oh, man, we were a 500 baseball team. Now we're way under 500. Cleveland was, above 500, and the AL Central has dipped. The whole league has dipped, and Cleveland has led that. So they're first place again. We don't have any solutions for them. I mean, it just was bad baseball against Detroit.
It's not getting easier.
No.
They're going to Houston for 3 games. Then they go to the White Sox for 4 games. And at the rate that they're hitting, the White Sox are not like an easy 4-game win.
And the Astros are playing fantastic baseball after sweeping the Dodgers.
They could be mathematically eliminated by the home run derby.
Yep, they're looking like it. I mean, being the 4th place team in the AL Central, and the White Sox are winning games. They're not winning games.
Yep.
That brings us to second place, and second place is an oddity because, Dad, we mentioned them last month. Are they good or are they bad? What are they? We don't quite know, but one thing we know for certain is the Cardinals are a legitimate team. They have a very good record. They went 1 in 5 this week. The big deal about the Cardinals this week is they were a minus 30 in run differential. They scored 0 runs against the Pirates in a 3-game series. That's 0. They scored nothing. And they also scored nothing tonight against the Cubs. So they lost 5 games. 4 of the games they lost, they scored 0 runs, which means they had no chance of winning, even if they pitched lights out. So
can you repeat that again with the Pirates?
Yeah, they were swept by the Pirates, which is a batter 5 regular.
Yeah.
They scored 0 runs in the series.
But for just a second, can we go to the Pirates? Because the Pirates had swept the Mets.
The Pirates had a good couple series there. You're right. The Pirates,
the pitching on the Pirates is coming to play.
So in those 6 games, the Pirates beat the Mets 9-1, 9-2, 12-1. Then they beat the Cardinals 7-0, 1-0, 5-0. They proceeded to end, just so you know, the Pirates proceeded to end the week not scoring any runs in their sweat, and they were swept. So they lost 0-6, 0-1, 0-1. So again, this is what the Pirates did or didn't do, or what they have and have not done. As it stands right now, we're not talking about the Pirates. The Cardinals came in this week. They're legitimate. They're still looking really solid overall. Their record, they're still 3-7 in the last 10. They're 48 and 43. They went 1 in 5 this week. This is similar to the Mets. They had a bad week. They've had some bad weeks, but they do have some really strong weeks. The biggest thing to me is they only scored 11 runs. Cleveland scored 9, but they only scored in 2 games. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. But these weeks, when you have a bad week, this is a bad week, and the Cardinals finished second. A minus 30 is really, really a tough one for a week if you look at the run differential for teams, and they're still positive, which tells you what you need to know about the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals, to me, have been so streaky, but today we sit and they're 48 and 42, and they're tied to be in the playoffs today. So as a wild card. So they are certainly not a team to bury. they had a bad run. We'll see. Are they going to have some good runs now? Because if they have a couple good runs, they'll be in the playoff picture. So they just had a bad week. What can you say? Everybody has one. They did it.
Yeah, it really. They're 48-43. The loss today gives them 43. They're half game out. They really are competing with the Padres, the Brewers, and the Giants and the Reds. Those are really the teams they're competing with that are above 500 in the NL wild card. The other teams are below 500. Could they come up and compete with them? Sure, but in all reality, you got to beat two of those teams. And two of those teams are going to be out, and right now the St. Louis Cardinals are on the outside looking in. They had a bad week. You don't want to have these, but it does happen. The Giants had a couple bad weeks. So we'll see. You got the All-Star break coming up. I think a lot of teams are kind of looking forward to a week off. I think that's kind of what you're seeing in some of our teams. And the St. Louis Cardinals certainly appeared that. Speaking of looking forward to the breaks, I think the Yankees may have started the All-Star break a little early as they're on the list. And I have to give a lot of kudos. Todd, you picked the Yankees going into this week. They were bad starting. Going into this week, they were, I believe, swept coming into the week. Their first win and only win was today. They were 1-6 on the week. They lost all 4 games to the Blue Jays, who now take a commanding lead in the division. They're 3 games up on both Tampa and the Yankees. Based on the Blue Jays having a run of all runs, they didn't lose this week, so they flipped it. They lost, again, they fell out of first place. They're 3-7. They're limping towards the All-Star break. The biggest thing I see with the Yankees that concerns me is that the pitching seems to be the story of all the teams that are struggling. Injuries to pitching staffs, the relievers, they're pulling up minor league teams. They said, I think, on average, 25 to 35 pitchers being used is pretty normal for teams at this stage, which is kind of wild if you think about it for baseball teams. So I think the Yankees need to get to that break. They need a week off to hopefully heal some people and get some people back. But the Yankees, like you said, they're a strong team. This is a bad week. Hats off, Todd. You got to feel pretty vindicated by this.
Listen, I went to the game yesterday, actually, at Citi Field, the one that the Mets ripped off 12 runs and then went for. I knew Max Fried was going to be tough today. He's really, excellent pickup by the Yankees. I think his ERA's hovering around 2.24, and his whip is like a 0.96. The guy's, he's just avoiding barrels like crazy. One of the things I noticed watching the game, the Yankees' defense is horrific. I mean, it is horrific. Volpe's making throws that don't even come near the first baseman. The outfielders are getting completely just run all over the stadium. Dude, Grisham had a fly ball today that it just went over his head, and it shouldn't have run over his head. He went 10 feet in the wrong direction and then had to run backwards, and the ball went over his head. I think he did the same thing in the left fielder did the same thing in the game that I was watching, and it was only because Jeff McNeil was so stupid on the base pass that 3 runs didn't score. But the Yankees, they live and die by the long ball. They love the long ball, but they are not a good defensive team, and it's going to hurt them. I think, though, that this whole thing where you have 2 legitimate baseball teams in New York, and neither one of them can put together a bullpen that a AAA team would be proud of. I think the Mets today have used more pitchers on their roster than any other team in baseball, and I think the number's 35.
Oh, my gosh.
They are dropping guys to free agency for a week and then bringing them back to pitch 3 innings and dropping them again. Yep. While they're in free agency, nobody touches them.
Yep.
Dickie Lovejoy, you know who you are.
Yep. And the Diamondbacks have a similar problem, but the only issue that I see with the Mets and the Yankees is the difference between the two teams is that I feel the Mets defense is definitely there, and I feel they have better starters. I think the Yankees have some solid starters, and to your point, as we get towards the playoffs and you look at a 3-game, 5-game set, how do they shore up relievers? So I expect the Yankees to be buyers in the next 2 weeks relievers.
Oh, yeah.
I expect the Mets to be buyers. So I think they're just limping along to get to that point to just take as much as they can from these other teams. if you look at the teams that are really doing well all year, I have to give it, the Astros have a really good deep bullpen. Their bullpen is consistent. They haven't had to bring in a lot of different players. They're not having a lot of injuries. It really shores up a team when you're winning 2-1, 3-1. If the Mets and Yankees make the right moves, they're going to be lethal. They're going to be lethal the second half of the season. But
the question is, like, what are the Yankees selling in order to get pitching?
It depends on what they have.
Like, where are they stacked up?
Yeah, it depends on what they have in AAA. It depends on what they have.
Listen, it's going to be interesting for the Yankees this week. They're going back to the Bronx. They're playing Seattle. They're playing the Cubs. These are not easy teams.
It's a tough week.
And that Cubs offense is going to tee off on that pitching. But
Seattle just threw a 3-game shutout on the Pirates.
Well, that's peak selling territory. Team does something like that, and they'll pull something like the Pirates. They won't allow runs for 3 games, and then the next thing you know, they're going Canadian metric system on as far as runs allowed.
So to your point about the Yankees, you picked them for this week. That was a huge win because they were on the list of never making the batter 5. This is the first week they've ever been on the batter 5, so do not fear. They're 49-41, solidly in the wild card spots. The AL East is exactly what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Boston is still hovering. They're above 500. They're playing good baseball right now. Toronto has taken the lead. Tampa and the Yankees are tied at 49-41, and both of them had poor weeks. So it just tells you how legitimate 4 teams are in the AL East. And it's funny, if we go back a month and a half, the AL Central was surprising us and the AL East was struggling. Well, the cream rises to the top, as they would say.
The cream of the crop rises to the top.
The cream of the crop rises to the top, as they would always say. And I think that's what we're seeing in the American League. The American League East is going to be excellent all the way to the end. The Yankees don't have a 3-foot putt to win the division. This is going to be tough. And to your point, you have 4 teams that will be buyers. Toronto's buying, Boston's buying. And if you look at the Yankees are going to buy, and the only team that I think will not buy will be Tampa, and that doesn't affect them. They'll be in the race the rest of the way.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
So I think we need to bring some cement trucks out for the next one. So on our batter 5 list, we were a little concerned about this team last week because we thought, again, they had struggles all year long to get above 500. And they start off July in the batter 5. The Atlanta Braves are in the batter 5 again. It was not long ago that they were 500. And they were all excited about being 500 and turning the corner. Since they went 500, they have literally gone to the bottom. They are 4th place in the NL East. They're behind the Marlins. They are now, after losing to Baltimore again, they have a worse record than the Orioles. So the Atlanta Braves are struggling. This is, again, the Atlanta Braves have been on the batter 5 a couple times. This is a 4th place finish. They're 2-8 in their last 10. We said they can't be doing this, and they keep doing it. They're 8.5 games out of the wild card.
Sellers.
So they're sitting in 4th place. They're not having a lot of offensive luck. It just feels like the mojo is gone. This is a $210 million salary for a 39-50 record. 39-50, we're talking about teams like the Nationals, the Marlins. We're talking about bad teams. We did not think before the year the Atlanta Braves would be in that company, but they're sitting around the campfire and they're looking at their companions and they're like, ooh, I don't look so pretty anymore. Nope, you don't.
I think every team starts off to try to keep their jobs by saying it's the injuries. Every team has injuries, okay?
Yep.
So let's just give up that excuse because every team's got key players that are out, and you got to have depth to win the pennant. And if you have injuries and you don't win, you didn't have the depth. So that's just the cold reality.
And it's not like the hitting and pitching has been like crazy off. Like, I think Schwellenbach is actually performing better than he should. I'm just looking at some of the stats here. Grant Holmes hitters are not hitting what their expected batting average should be. Chris Sale should do a little bit better. He should actually do a lot better in the second half of the season, depending on how he's feeling. But like Bryce Elder, you're not getting a lot out of him, and Spencer Strider is actually outperforming. I think that you actually could see worse pitching in the second half of the season with the Braves as we get into these later months and things get really kind of iffy down there.
Here's the shocking fact for me, and I look at the standings at the end of this week. The Braves are only ahead of 3 National League teams. They're ahead of the Rockies, the Nationals, and the Pirates.
Wow.
And not by much.
No, they literally could be second to last in the National League. They Washington and the Pirates, if they have a good week and the Braves have a poor week, the Braves are second to last in the National League to the Rockies. And we all thought they would be competing in this division. We thought they'd be really good.
Because they always do.
Right.
And this is a 2-team race, so I guess, Todd, for you and your fandom, I think you should celebrate this. This is exactly what you want to see. The Braves are out. They're in the rearview mirror, and you can't even see them.
This is the part that freaks me out about the Braves, though. Their run differential for the year is positive.
Yes, that's true.
They are +4 for the year. Miami, who's a game and a half ahead of them, is a -71.
Holy cow.
So, like, I don't know that this is actually the 4th place team. Even though, like, what I said earlier about, like, the pitching is probably overperforming right now, like, there's no variance between, like, the expected stats of the team and the actual stats of the team that's, like, really dramatic.
When I hear numbers, I don't follow the Braves day by day, but when I hear numbers like that, the first thing I say is their bullpen's got to be blowing close games. Because if you have that kind of run differential, you should have a better record. So I always look to the bullpen when you're losing close games.
Yeah, I got to dive into this and kind of see where the losses are as far as
So
that's
just
concerned.
this week, they lost 4-0. They lost 1-5. They lost 2-3, 6-9, and 1-2. And in all reality, it was later in the games against the Orioles is when they lost. But they did, and again, the Orioles swept them. So it was 6-6. It was 2-2. I mean that's 9-6 game. It was 3-3, 5-5. They were right there, and then they just. Again, it's just all of those things, the timely hitting, timely pitching. They're just not getting it. And we talked about that when we watched the Diamondbacks, Dad. The wrong things happened at the wrong times. I just feel for the Braves, all of that is happening. Can they turn it back around? I mean, we're running out of weeks and time here. And
you just wonder when you lose 3 games to the Orioles and you're in bad shape to begin with, what's going on in the minds of the players? Are you just saying, this isn't going to be our year, and then that affects to play. Winning teams, as the game goes on, expect they're going to win the game.
Yep.
And losing teams don't.
Well, this week they faced off against the Angels and the Orioles. So if you were looking at the Braves and saying this is a week, you should go a minimum 500. 3-3 is what you want to do. They end up 1-5.
Yeah, bad deal.
Listen, you want to hear craziness? The guy who has the most losses on the team is Grant Holmes. His ERA is 3.44.
So again,
he has 8 losses. He's got the opponents are hitting 213 against him. Like, what's he doing wrong? Oh, he gave up 15 home runs. Spencer Strider, 3.93, has 7 losses. Then you got Bryce Elder. His ERA is 5.92. He's got 6 losses. But like. Nobody's with these 7, 8, 9, 13-point ERAs.
But for the Braves, those are not good numbers for your starters. No, they're just not.
Well, we all remember the Glavine and Schmaltz and
memories are great for the pool room, but they don't count today.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we get to 5th place. Now again, 1 through 4 is pretty easy because these teams only had one win, or in Cleveland's case, perfect 0-6. We had a bunch of two-win teams this week. So I was going back and forth looking at how these teams were doing. I had the Rockies to choose from and the White Sox. The reason why I didn't choose the White Sox is that I beat the Rockies in 2 games. They played the Dodgers 3 times, and they almost beat them once, which to me counts as a win. The Rockies I had a tough time with putting here, and I didn't put them here because they beat the Astros. And the Astros' one loss this week was to the Rockies after they swept the Dodgers. I think that's pretty noble from that standpoint. So the team I did end up picking was the Tampa Bay Rays. And the reason why I picked them, Dad, I know you picked them last week. That was a great pick. They've never been on the batter 5. They played the A's and they played the Twins. And this week against the Twins, they lost twice in extra innings to the Twins. They lost twice to the A's. The Twins have struggled all year. The A's are not exactly blowing it up. Tampa Bay has had some good weeks. This was probably a poor week for them. So I didn't want to reward Tampa by saying, well, you weren't as bad as the White Sox and the Rockies. If the Rockies and the White Sox are who I'm comparing you to, that's bad news for you. So I always get tie goes to the runner when it comes to the Rockies, when it comes to the White Sox. And with the Rockies beating the White Sox today, giving them 2 wins, I have a tough time not picking Tampa as my 2-win team this week. This is just, again, the Angels also had 2 wins. They beat the Braves twice, got swept at the end. Their run differential was a 0. So people could argue with me. They could say the Reds were 2-4 with a -9. Maybe they could have been in this, but I picked Tampa. Could say my blinders were on, but that's my pick. I'm sticking with it. The Rays didn't take advantage of the Yankees' downfall. They're still 49-41. If you look at the payroll for the Rays, $88 million to have the same record as the Yankees. So the Yankees have paid $200 million more than the Rays to be tied by the Rays. Now, I don't know. It's like almost like when you fight a third world country in a war and it's tied. I kind of feel like that's what we're looking at with the Rays and the Yankees. And I don't know if that makes the Yankees feel any better or worse, but it's just got to bug you that like you can't get rid of this mosquito of the Rays because they're not a juggernaut and they're playing good all baseball. This is the first time they've been on the batter 5 all year. So the Yankees and Rays are knocked off the list on batter 5, and I would say the Rays barely slid in there.
I think that if I'm a Rays fan, there's only 3 of us, but I think that this is not a week to be discouraged at all. They've been playing well. It was a speed bump. 2-4 is not like 0-6. And I don't think the Rays are leaving the pennant race. I think they're in it. And we have to consider them. There are other teams I don't feel that strong about. I just don't think they can stay with it. But right now the Rays have said to me, look, we're good enough to compete and we're going to keep competing. I think the Rays are good. I just think they were due for a speed bump, and they got it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I think the tie going to the runner, I think it's good. If you haven't been on the batter 5 yet, and there's an opportunity for you to be there, hey, we had an empty slot for you.
Yep.
So that leaves on our list, if you were to say, well, who is left on the list who hasn't been on the batter 5? Well, the Reds and the Rays tied, and the reason why it went to the Rays is who they played. The Reds played the Phillies. The Reds played a hot Boston team. They beat them twice. A's and Twins, you should have gotten 3 wins. That's my opinion. Right. That's why I'm sitting there. So the teams that have not been on it. So all of the NL East teams and the AL East teams have made it now that the Yankees and Rays both were on it. So we have the Detroit Tigers. We have the Houston Astros. We have the Dodgers, the Reds, and the Brewers. That's it, everybody. So we have 3 division leaders. And if you look at those division leaders' records, if you really want to have some fun, the Dodgers are 56-35. There's a reason they haven't been on the batter 5. Houston, 55-35. The Tigers, 57-34. What's one thing you have in common with all these teams? 50-plus wins. That's just a recipe for good, solid, we're headed to the playoff baseball. So those are the teams that are there. The Brewers are 50 and 40, which is odd, and the Reds are 46 and 44. So I would say the Reds are probably due before the All-Star break, before anything else. If I were to pick a team, I would probably pick the Reds to be off this list. I don't know who they're playing again, but that's my gut. That's how I'm feeling this week. Todd, who do you have this week, and who do you think may make it? Obviously, you can pick anybody. We don't have a whole lot of time left. My pick was the Dodgers, everyone. They were 3-3 this week, so if they would have just lost that one game to the White Sox, they could have been on it.
I think they're flirting with it. So you're going with the Reds, huh?
I'm going to go with the Reds this week. I have Cincinnati Reds making it. I think they've been struggling, and this is when they dive bomb out of the NL Central and end up making us not feel very good about their playoff chances as we go in the All-Star break.
I would agree with you, and I looked at it and I said this could be it, except that they've got 4 games against the Marlins and 3 games against the Rockies.
Those are some hot teams. I always pick the hot teams. My White Sox, I didn't pick a team playing the White Sox, so I clearly gave up on them. But Marlins and Rockies, you have a friend in the batter 5, and I'm sticking with my pick, Todd. I'm sticking with the Reds.
But they're home all week
in
Cincinnati. So, it was up in the air for me. I know we have teams that have not made the batter 5. And I had a good run here because I picked 2 teams that had not made the batter 5. And then what I did was I picked 2 teams and they both made it. So I cleared New York out of the punch. But man, the Phillies schedule is really tempting this week. They're doing, number one, they're doing a West Coast trip after playing at home today. So they're doing a West Coast trip. We're going to get a little jet lagged. We got to play against San Fran. We got to play against the Padres. However, I think that if we're going to pick a team that has not been on it, I think this is the Dodgers week.
Really?
I'm going to follow up. This is the Dodgers week. A couple things going for us here on this if we're going to go with the Dodgers. Number one, we're going into the All-Star game. And we all know that every single Dodger is an All-Star.
True.
They're all playing the All-Star game. I don't know what. I feel like the whole nation of Japan voted 10 million times. All the Dodgers are All-Stars. But they're on the road the whole week. They're not in one time zone. They're playing at Milwaukee for 3 games, which could be tough because Milwaukee's got great pitching. And then they've got 3 games at San Francisco. And if you're traveling from the east to the west and you have a night game after traveling, it might be a little hairy for them. So we have a chance where we might get 5 or 6 losses because you have guys maybe prepping for the home run derby or that type of thing. And I'm just kind of feeling it. They just got swept by the Astros. We could be seeing the beginning of a little whatever the Yankees had and what the Mets had before them. So that's where I'm feeling it. And then my backup is the Phillies in case I'm living in fantasy land there.
It's an interesting pick. I don't disagree. They're not going on the road to the White Sox and then back home against the Rockies. So, yeah, they're not facing the easy talent or easy positions, and they are before the All-Star break, which is interesting because the good teams, like the Dodgers, I think a lot of the veteran players do look for that break, that week off. And the guys that make the All-Star, they have to get all their families tickets. They got to get everybody ready. They got to have a good hoopla. They got to have a good time. So I can see the Dodgers. Reds and Dodgers. Dad, who are you thinking this week would be on the batter 5?
Well, reaction first. I don't think the Dodgers are going to fall off. They just lost 3 in a row. I think.
Well, Muncie's hurt.
But who cares? They got 17 other guys ready to play like him. The Reds, I think, are an excellent pick. Now, here's what I was doing. I wanted to go with an inside straight, trying to hit an inside straight and pick an unlikely winner. So I was about to say Toronto until I looked at their schedule. And I said, no, I am not picking a team that's playing the White Sox and the Athletics. Okay? So I'm not going with that. So
but how great would it be?
Oh, they would. They struggle.
I'm going to go with a family favorite, the Angels. I'm picking the Angels this week. They have to play actually the Texas 4 times and then the Diamondbacks. So, I mean, neither of those teams are lighting it up. But I'm going to go with Texas. I didn't look. Let me see.
Are they're home? Wait, are they? Wait. You said the Athletics, right?
They play Texas at home.
They play Texas at home.
You said the Angels. I get my A's teams confused.
It's Texas and Arizona, and they're all home.
All 7 home games.
So we'll see.
What's interesting about the Angels to me when I look at this, who's been where. So the Angels have only been on the batter 5 3 times so far this year, which is actually pretty good. The interesting thing to me about the divisions that haven't had a lot of people show up there, their teams haven't been on their the AL East, really, really good. Boston 3 times, Baltimore twice, everybody else once. When I look at, for instance, any other division, that one is probably the least. Then you have the NL Central, clearly because the Reds and Brewers haven't been on there. Cubs are once, Cardinals and Pirates are 3 times. The NL West actually does really well if you ignore Colorado. Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks are 1 time each. Rockies are 10. So it kind of puts you over the map, if you will. So this is an interesting. I think what's happening is that the Braves have really made the NL East a weaker division. The Braves have been on there 4 times now. Nationals have been on there. They're on there 4 times as well. And then the Marlins are on there 4 times as well. The Nationals and Marlins make sense. The Braves are not. Are the Braves close to the batter 5 cycle? No, not really, not yet. So we still got to get somebody to get the batter 5 cycle. My bet would be the Rockies are going to get there with a 5th place finish. Could have happened this week, but did not. So I'm going with the Reds. Todd, you're picking the Dodgers, which would make us all happy. And Dad, you're going to pick the Angels of Los Angeles. Now, what's
the rule where no, we can't pick Colorado. If you pick Colorado, that's cheating.
Oh, that's
right.
Fair.
That's out. We got to have a rule established whereby we get to a certain point and you just can't pick a team that's mathematically eliminated.
Okay.
Or something like that.
I think that again, if you're looking at the bottom tier teams or teams that have been on the list more than 3 times, you can't pick them like the Cardinals, the Pirates now, Braves, Nationals, Marlins.
If your run differential is negative 3 figures, can't pick them. That rules out the Athletics and the
White Sox
and the Rockies.
Not the White Sox.
Not the White Sox.
White Sox are negative 84.
I'm okay with that. I
think that's a good rule. If you're negative 3 figures, you can't be picked.
So before we end all the fun that we're having, Todd, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the Mets. They are coming off of 2 poor weeks. They finished this week 4-2. What is your insight? What are you thinking? I know you picked the Yankees to kind of be bad. They're taking up all the oxygen in New York. What are you thinking about the Mets? How are you feeling about the Mets and also the all-star snub of Mr. Soto?
I feel good about the Mets because we've got Manaea coming back and Senga coming back possibly this week, which should give us some stability to our starting pitching. I think Peterson's like the last guy in the Donner Party holding down the fort, and now finally get some relief in there as far as starting pitching is concerned. I think Juan Soto is going to end up being an all-star just because of injuries and coach's selection. It's really weird to me that the guy's the National League Player of the Month and not an all-star. He's statistically, I think, a top 3 or 4 hitter in the whole National League. So I don't get that, except that it's just vindictive Yankees fans voting negatively or something. I don't know what happened. It's stupid. But, what are you going to do? The whole format for the All-Star game. The All-Star game to me is dumb because you have people voting and anybody can vote however many times you want. So you've got idiots that are just spamming the vote. And then you have to take people from teams. Every team gets a player. It shouldn't count against the roster when you have pitchers with 4+ ERAs, considering them all-stars like a charity pick. It's ridiculous. It's, I don't know. It's like, we do the Olympics, and just because a country exists, we have to, we got to put them in the finals or something. It's so dumb.
Yeah, I agree with that idealism, if you think about it, because again, they had to pick somebody from Colorado. You got to pick someone from Miami. You got to pick someone from the Pirates, which I don't think is that difficult with the Pirates pitching.
No, the Pirates, that's great, but like this guy they picked from Miami, Stowers.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
The guy barely made the team.
Right.
Like, I get it. Send him as like a non-rostered representative for Miami or something like that. But like, this guy got picked over Juan Soto because we had to give the Marlins something. What are we doing?
I don't disagree, but you feel good about
that. And this stupid team's got Pokemon Go night coming up. This is not serious baseball.
Well, the good news, Dad, for your Diamondbacks, as I looked at them this week, they decided to go under 500, which is kind of cementing the idea that they're not going to buy. They're going to sell to these teams like the Yankees and the Mets and the teams that really need some help. They went 3-4 this week, which is not bad, but they're under 500 and they're falling back. I know they're excited about getting some players back, but what are you hearing about the Diamondbacks? Are they going to sell? Are they going to buy? Are they fooling themselves? What are you thinking?
Well, the public word is we're going to be buyers because we're in the race. We're 4 games out of the wild card. This is not a playoff team, okay? You can blame injuries or whatever, but they're just not a playoff team. When you look at 500 is, I think they're doing well to be at 500. What would be best for the Diamondbacks long run is to be in the batter 5 this week. They're playing 4 games against San Diego. If they were to lose 3 of them, then they'd go further away in the wild card. Then they got to go to L.A. to play the Angels. If they have a bad week, then maybe they'll have to face up to the fact that we got 5 free agents. There's no way we're going to sign all 5 of them if we sign any. And trading deadline, these 5 guys can really help teams out. So I see it as a wonderful opportunity to be a seller and just build up where we're weak going into next year. Get more arms in that bullpen, maybe pick up another starter. And, we'll have to replace some offense, but I think that if they keep one of the 5 free agents that they maybe feel the closest to, I don't know, but economically it doesn't make sense. And I just think that they have to face up to the fact that they got to be sellers. They don't want to admit it publicly because, if the fans see that they're selling, where does that hit your attendance, right? Now we're not going to come to the games. So the public image is we're in this. We're just a couple of wins away. We've got to go in and say, okay, yeah.
So I'll just give you this bit, and I tend to tell this to my teenage sons who are right at that age that is tough because you're 3 years from a 12-year-old and you're 3 years from an adult. And, Dad, in your era, you're 3 years away from being drafted to go to war, or you're 3 years from looking like a little kid. And that's a tough age to be at. So I would tell this to the Diamondback fans, which we are, is you're closer to Miami than you are to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So when you're closer to something you don't want to be like, and you're sitting around that campfire, what was that scene in Blazing Saddles? The scene where everyone's passing gas?
More beans, Mr. Taggart.
So when they're passing gas and you're with those guys and you don't have a tent and you don't have a room at the hotel, because the Dodgers have a suite in the hotel, and the Diamondbacks are pretending like they have a room and they have points and they're going to get – no, they're out by the campfire with the Marlins. That's where they should be sitting.
And the Marlins are a team we just got swept by, so –
Yeah, so it's again they're 3-7 in the last 10. They were 3-4 this week. They were 2-4 last week. We'll see how July ends up, but I think they can get a lot of stuff for what they have. The pieces that they have that they can that teams will like, they can get a lot of stuff for. So I think the Mets are buyers. Buy. Diamondbacks should be sellers unless they're fooling themselves and they're like, hey, we're going to get some guys back and we'll be contenders and we're just going to have a hot end of the year, which they have had. So here we go. We get to report on what happens in the trades and all of that jazz, which will be fun. It's always fun going over the batter five, looking at the teams that are supposed to be good but aren't good. I kind of feel bad right now covering Cleveland because when you're this bad or on this bad of a 2-week stretch, 4 weeks they've been in the batter five, 3 of them. They've never been on the batter five until that. 2 first-place finishes in a row. So if Cleveland finishes another first-place finish before the All-Star game, not only are they selling, but this team is like submarine diving at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I do see the Yankees bouncing back. I agree with you, Todd, on that. And I don't see Tampa visiting us again for a little while. They're just consistent. But I always would remind a Yankee fan is that your $200 million is that much better than Tampa when you have the same record.
So tonight, the Washington Nationals fired their general manager and manager. So a segment on a future Batter 5 is which manager gets fired next?
Could be Cleveland.
Cleveland. Did you hear? Okay, one story I will say about Cleveland. Did you hear about the assistant coach that was making some pranks on the dugout and they had lost like 9 in a row? And the manager was like, "What are you doing?" The assistant manager was doing some stuff, pranking people in the dugout. He's like, "What are we doing? Like, we can't score." Like,
right.
Like everything probably is the worst. Like everyone can't wait to leave the locker room really fast. No one's eating together. Everyone's like, we got to get out of here. Like, when it's just like has that bad vibes everywhere. That's what it probably feels like in Cleveland. They need to get to the All-Star
Billy
break.
Bean and Moneyball coming in and slamming things around.
Oh, I don't even think anyone showers. They just go home with their uniform. They're just trying to leave as fast as you can. I'm embarrassed I'm even playing this team. Oh. So that's the Batter 5 list. Share, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys coming and being a part of the Batter 5. And look around in life. There's lots of Batter 5s out there. It's okay to identify them privately around the water cooler, wherever you may be. We know you exist. We know you have to be there. It's okay. Happens in every sport. Just because we're finally paying attention to the teams that everybody wanted to ignore. We're here to pay attention to them. That's our weekly review on the Batter 5. Dad, Todd, as always, thanks so much for joining.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.